Hello, this is a little discussion about Ives's Variations on America. So, as the title implies, this is a theme and variations. The piece of music that he uses is a folk tune that I think will be familiar to a lot of you. And he essentially plays it and then varies it a number of times. Now, this was first introduced. Ives was a church organist. He was a really active musical presence. He trained again at the knee of his father, who taught him to be a really sort of alternative kind of individual free spirit in terms of making music. His father was a free spirit as well, taught him how to play multiple different rhythms at the same time and simultaneous clashing melodies that are happening at the same time. Ives was really a brilliant innovator. He was also a little bit sensitive, especially when he was young. And what happened with this piece was he introduced it at the age of 17 at a church service. He was working at a church service in Brewster, New York, which is right over the border of Connecticut. So he probably could have walked to work. But he introduced this and he found that people chuckled, people were laughing. And he took that a little bit, he got insulted. And so it took him a long time to pull out this piece and publish it. So he didn't publish it for a very long time, but he wrote it at the age of 17. He published it as a grown man after he had started making a name for himself, but it took a little while. So I'm going to play this piece for you. And you just can get a little sense of the things that he does. He plays around with variations. I'll try and let you know the variations as they're happening. The first thing that we're going to hear is a little introduction and then the playing of the theme. And then I'll see if I can let you know how the variations are going along, if I can hear well. I may miss some, I can't promise, but we'll do our best. So here we go. So I think that was the first playing, that was the introduction and the theme. So here's variation 1. Lovely patriotic song, right? And he is playing this through. Okay, here's the second variation. This is a little interlude. Sort of bringing us to the next variation. I may be wrong on this, really. One of the things about themes and variations is that once we get further away from the classical era, where they were really nice and tidy and perfect and, you know, very easy to follow, composers try to mess with the heads of the audience because otherwise it's just very repetitive. Ives is clearly trying to have us get lost. I believe this is variation 3. Here's variation 4. It's additionally difficult because it's on the organ, which, as you can see, is a remarkably complicated instrument to play. These things up here, I don't know if you can see this. These are various different stops. He's playing with his feet, right? So there's so much going on. Okay, this is a short. I believe that we're at variation 4. Yeah, here's the 4th variation. So every time there's a new variation, he is pulling out various different stops. He's changing the tonality. Here, he's playing 2 different meters at the same time, which is a typical approach by Ives. The messier it is, the more it's Ives. I believe this is the 5th variation. Look at that footwork. So the feet are the bass notes, and you can hear the bass notes are doing, it's a completely different passage than the upper notes. So we've got this sort of, I like to think of Ives as poly everything. He's polyrhythmic, he's polytonal, polymetric, polyphonic. I believe we're getting along into the coda. This is kind of this will be the last variation that we're going to hear. Yeah, it's the coda. Okay, so this is Ives' variation on America. Now, when he first played this, again, people didn't know how to respond to it. So they giggled, they chuckled. And while it's a playful piece, I mean, it's, this is this beautiful piece, America, and Of Thee I Sing, and all that stuff. And Ives really meant it to be patriotic, but I don't think that everybody understood it. So, of course, the reaction is, what is this weird piece of music? It's so silly. It's so strange. And Ives really did have a historically very thick skin. People offended him when they didn't like his music, and a lot of people didn't like his music because he had a very peculiar way of creating. but that offended him sometimes. So it took a very long time for this piece to catch on, but it is kind of now considered to be a standard in the organ repertoire and a highly respected piece of music because Ives has become a highly respected American composer. So there we go. Variations on America by our odd friend Ives. Take care. Bye-bye.